Hi, I'm James Martin. I'm the Public Art Administrator for the City of Kansas City, Missouri. Did you know that since 1986, the city has set aside 1% of the construction cost of public buildings for the commissioning of public art? Like this one, here at the Municipal Court.
The Municipal Court was built in 1973 and has had very little work since then. So this remodeling project is to make some significant upgrades that have been needed for a long time. And this art piece, 16 windows, is just a representation of how we're looking at the past and still going forward and building on that success. This particular piece was made from historical and current photos of Municipal Court. The openness of it is just wonderful. The artist, Denise DiPiazzo, with Red Trike Studios, was selected through a competitive bidding process by the Arts Commission, and this is all part of the city's commitment to the 1% art project. So we're just really excited that we're trying to have a great space here for people who have to come and do court business.
In fact, there's a lot of public art located all over the city, so when you're out and about, be sure to check it out. The most well-known example of 1% art is the sky stations on top of Bartle Hall Convention Center, which is lit up red right now in honor of the Kansas City Chiefs. In fact, there's a lot going on downtown right now in honor of the Chiefs. Watch this.
Hi, I'm Donna Mandelbaum with the Kansas City Streetcar, and today is Red Friday. We are celebrating the Chiefs playoff run with a Red Friday ride featuring KC Wolf, the Rumble Drumline, we have giveaways on board, and so much more. We are so excited to cheer our Chiefs on, so go Chiefs Kingdom!
If you own a business in Kansas City, it's time for you to renew your license and pay your taxes. And we've made it easy for you to do that online. Go to our website at kcmo.gov/tax for a list of frequently asked questions, a calendar of upcoming license and tax due dates, and other resources. Thanks for watching the Weekly Report. I'm James Martin, City Public Art Administrator. Now stay tuned for more great city videos.
KC Water announced details and features of the Green Infrastructure Project at the KCVA Medical Center and Avenue of Life building at a media event January 9th. In an effort to reduce stormwater volume and sanitary sewer overflow, KC Water is creating a more environmental-friendly green space. This project includes a new walking trail and park area on the grounds of the KCVA Medical Center and the installation of new storm pipes. KC Water's Deputy Director Matt Bond says projects like these are important for Kansas City.
What we're trying to do is come up with projects that keep the water, the stormwater, rainwater, snow melt out of the combined sewers, because the more we can do that, the less we have to build pipes and increase the capacity of treatment plants in our system.
Not only will the project provide a space that veterans and their families can enjoy, it will also create a natural path for stormwater, with drainage channels and 3 retention basins to hold additional rainfall.
We want to make sure that the community understands what they will get. We have native plantings. They're not always going to look manicured like this. Also, we're going to be trying to eliminate paving.
Around the corner from the KCVA at the Avenue of Life building, KC Water will remove broken concrete and create an orchard of fruit trees, apple, pears, peach, to name a few. Kansas City Councilman Brandon Ellington is happy to see this work get underway.
And this area is ripe for it and has been needing something that starts to connect the community and creates a viable process for people to be able to utilize.
A brief demonstration at the event showed how green infrastructure works with a small rain garden. Dirt, porous rock, or sand allows the water to soak through. Andy Sauer is the Green Infrastructure Task Leader for the Smart Sewer Program.
Sure, this one's unique because it's an opportunity to keep stormwater out of the system from a highly hard surface area. So the hospital up the hill here has a lot of parking lot, a lot of big building, all that generates a lot of runoff, right? And so this project is a great opportunity because we can take that high amount of runoff from these hard surface and capture it before it gets in the combined sewer system.
The project area includes the KCVA Medical Center, the Avenue of Life building, and Linwood Green Park. Construction began October of 2019 and is expected to be completed later this year. For KC Water, I'm Heather Frierson.
Good evening, everyone. I wanted to first say my dad will be so pleased, so proud. I mean, this is the 40th anniversary of his passing, 30th anniversary of the Cultural Center. And you know, to think that it all began with the concept, his vision of the Spirit of Freedom Fountain. Now, my father exhibited leadership that was inspired by devotion and community, his family, and his love for God. Whatever the issue or the circumstance, he felt a responsibility to take a lead position, always, which pioneered many firsts for him. Now, he never sold out his community for himself. My father embraced the vision in this city of fountains to construct a fountain in the African American community, celebrating the contributions of African Americans in the growth of our city. Once realized, our leadership expanded that vision through the construction of the Cultural Heritage Center and felt it appropriate to dedicate the center to his memory, his life, and his work. And for that, I and my cousin Marion and the entire Watkins family, we are forever grateful.
Good morning and welcome to Wild Wednesday here at the Kansas City Zoo. I'm your host, Allison, and I am joined by Jessica today and some other friends too, Melissa and Kelly around here somewhere, one of our other trainers. But we are joined by a very cute corn nibbler down here. Jessica, who is this?
This is Jasiri, our African crested porcupine.
Very cool. Now, of course, she lives here at the Kansas City Zoo, but where exactly would we find her out in the world?
So out in the world, these animals come from northern parts of Africa and even into Italy, so they have a pretty wide range that they're from.
They like to move, maybe swim oceans,
right,
you could say.
Yeah,
Very cool.
sure.
Very, very cool, Jasiri. Now, they're called an African crested porcupine. So we've broken down the African part. What is the crested part of their name?
So as you can see on the top of her head, she has really long fur there, so that's kind of her crest, almost like a mohawk, so that's how they get their name.
Very cool. And so African, that's where they're from. Crested, the fun crest, the mohawk. And then porcupine. So she is a porcupine and not a hedgehog.
That's
a
right.
lot of people get both of those animals confused. Now, what would you say are the major differences between both of those animals?
Well, hedgehogs are going to be much smaller.
Okay.
So
Little pocket size.
Yes, they're a lot smaller, can fit in your hand. These porcupines can get upwards of about 30 pounds. So that's about how much Jasiri weighs right now. So she is full grown. They also have much longer quills on their backs.
Okay.
So
okay, now
slight differences there.
these quills, well, first you said that the frohawk kind of thing was made of actual hair. Are the quills also made of hair?
Sort of. So the quills are made of something called keratin, which is a protein. So it's the same thing our hair and fingernails are made out of. So they almost feel more like hollow fingernails, if you know what that feels like at all.
Not quite. I don't have those, but somebody out there might. Okay, so what exactly does she use these? I mean, they're gorgeous, but I'm a little scared by them.
Yeah, so it's kind of a myth that these guys can shoot their quills out. A lot of times in cartoons, they kind of portray that. They're not capable of doing that though, so they can't shoot their quills off of their backs, but they can use those to deter predators, and they are very sharp on the ends, but instead they will use those to back into their predators that are trying to get them.
So these are made to come out.
Right.
Is that different than a hedgehog? Like, are there little spiny things? Are they made to actually come out? I don't think so.
No, those guys, the hedgehogs will roll into a ball to protect their faces and their limbs. They'll roll up into a ball, so if a predator tried to pick them up, they would start puffing out air, which would then poke the predator, but they don't really come out, so they're a little bit different than the porcupine quills.
That all seems like it would deter a predator immediately.
Yes. And then if you look down here, these quills, they're kind of shaking a little bit there, and you can see they're much thicker than some of these other ones on the top, the longer ones. Those quills actually produce a very loud rattle. So it's also kind of a deterrent for predators, and she's done it a few times before if something kind of startles her, but it's been a while since we've heard it, since she's pretty comfortable with everything now. But she can shake those pretty violently. That makes a really loud sound to get predators to leave her alone.
So she's very good at protecting herself in the wild. Jasiri, I wouldn't mess with you at one bit, other than the fact that you're really cute. All right, so Jasiri looks like the African crested porcupines that are on exhibit in the Tropics building here at the zoo. Does she live there with those two boys?
No, so those two boys are brothers. They live, like you said, in the Tropics building, so you can see them on zoo grounds all the time when you walk over to the Tropics building. Jasiri here actually lives in one of our ambassador animal buildings called the Zoo Learning Den. So we have several different animals that live in that building. We also do some off-grounds programs with her at different assembly programs for schools and things like that. And she's also in our Amazing Animal Ambassador show at 2:30. So we mix up what animals are in that show, but she is one of the stars that you could see.
Okay, so she's a part of the Amazing Animal Ambassador show. So I want to break that down as well. So, Animal Ambassador. I know she's an animal, but how is she an ambassador for her species?
So Jasiri here kind of represents her wild cousins from Africa. She's an animal that our guests get to see and learn about up close and personal, which will hopefully then inspire them to do their part to not just take care of porcupines out in the wild, but in general, just all animals and things they can do to help protect them.
Very cool. So she is a little different than her cousins in the fact that she's around people instead of being out in the wild, and she's receiving all this training, and she's living in a zoo, but she's very good at showing, basically telling the story, which is really cool. That's exactly what our animal ambassadors do. What kind of other animal ambassadors do we have here at the zoo?
We have several different animal ambassadors at the zoo, very small ones from cockroaches to millipedes, believe it or not. They can be pretty impressive, especially to kids, kind of really like those creepy crawly guys. But then we also have some larger mammals as well. So obviously Jasiri is one. We also have Zara, who's an African serval, so a cat from Africa. We also have a red river hog named Evie. So again, from Africa. Not really a theme necessarily we're going with, but that seems to be.
They've done really well here at the zoo. Awesome.
And then we also have some New Guinea singing dogs. We have two sisters, Coco and Karai. So they go on walks around the zoo. So occasionally you'll get to just run into them and see them when you're just walking around.
Very cool.
And then we also have a bobcat named Hobbs, who's one of our newest ambassador animals.
That's clever.
Yes,
That's
he's
very
not
clever.
quite a year old yet. So we're starting to bring him into our Amazing Animal Ambassador show. So during the week especially, you may get to see him doing some training on stage.
And a lot of those bigger animals you mentioned are a part of that Amazing Animal Ambassador show. That's the other part I want to know about. What makes Jasiri so amazing in this show? What does she do?
So does pretty much what she's doing right now. So Melissa's showing off a lot of her behaviors. So we have been able to train her several different things. So she can walk up and down this ramp that you see her doing.
Very nice.
And she can also target. So that pole that Melissa has with the ball on the end of it, we've trained Jasiri to touch her nose to the end of that target. What she just showed off was a little spin behavior, so she can spin 360 degrees, which really shows off those quills to the guests in the audience. So no matter where you're sitting, you'll kind of get a good look when she does that. And then she also is clicker trained. So Melissa is clicking that clicker every time Jasiri does a behavior that she asks, and then she gets one of her treats.
Very cool. So this sounds a lot like something called positive reinforcement.
That's right.
All right. So like step by step, let's talk about like Jasiri learning the spin. Because positive reinforcement, we know that's a way for her to be trained, and really how all the animals at the zoo are trained. But what does that actually look like in learning a new skill?
Right. So with positive reinforcement, the positive is you're adding something to the animal's environment to reinforce a behavior or increase the likelihood that behavior will happen again in the future.
Okay.
So that's where you get positive and reinforcement.
Very
so
cool.
Things we add to Jasiri's environment after she does anything that we're asking her to do, or small steps to working towards those bigger behaviors, is she kind of eats a wide variety of fruits and vegetables. So you can see Melissa just gave her an apple. She also has carrot, sweet potato, corn. Occasionally we'll give her peanuts.
Whoa.
She does also eat greens and rodent chow, which is kind of almost just like a little grain pellet that she likes to eat. So we can add any of that to her environment. The clicker itself is a secondary reinforcer, which means she has been trained or conditioned that that sound means good. So even if we're clicking when she's just walking next to us, that's still adding that to her environment to tell her good job, and she understands that, and she'll keep doing that behavior, which is usually walking next to us.
Very cool. That sounds like something you could do with your dogs at home.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you can train them the exact same way. And with Jasiri, we had to kind of just first train her to just be used to everything around her.
Okay.
So that was really the first step. So obviously being in an auditorium where we do our shows, or in a classroom where there's a bunch of children looking at her, there could be a lot of different sounds, movements, there's lightings, we wear microphone. We also have a lot of different music in the show. So we kind of had to desensitize her or get her used to all of that was going to be in her environment in these different places. So we started doing that slowly by just having her comfortable in where she lives already. So in the ZLD building, we started incorporating music just by playing the radio while we cleaned.
That makes sense.
Maybe clapping our hands, moving our feet around, shuffling, just normal sounds you might hear when you're out anywhere. She got used to that in an environment she's already comfortable in. Then when she moves to a different environment that she doesn't know, even if she hears some of those sounds, it's okay because she's used to hearing them. So we kind of started there, and then we had to get her used to wearing this harness that she has on. It's a little slip lead. So we just slowly had her walk through it when it was all the way open in a circle. Then we were able to make that circle smaller and smaller as she kind of walked through it. And now we're able to have it so that it's right behind her legs so that she can be guided around as well with us.
And I imagine a lot of this is much easier, one, when you have a nice big team helping you out.
That's right.
But two, when the animal itself is learning this from a younger age, right?
Yes. So Jasiri was pretty young when she came in. She was only a few months old. She's only about 1.5 years right now, so her birthday is in April. So we'll have to celebrate a second birthday, right, coming up here pretty soon. But yeah, so usually we start all of our ambassador animals whenever possible when they're very young, and they've arrived here from a variety of different facilities and for different reasons. So Jasiri did have a few other siblings there, and her parents live at another facility. And she was just brought here on purpose to be an ambassador animal. That was kind of where she was born and hand raised, so she got that learning very young. And then we kind of continued to take that over once she got here.
Very cool. Well, if you guys are interested in seeing Jasiri as an ambassador animal up close and personal, make sure you, one, walk the grounds at the zoo. You might see one of these things pop up around you. But two, make sure you join the Animal Ambassador Show, the amazing Animal Ambassador Show, where you'll see all of these animals. You guys have done a fantastic job with Jasiri, and I can't wait to see all those other animal ambassadors. I'm ready to learn some more. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you, Jessica, for showing us Jasiri, and Melissa and Kelly for your help today training behind the scenes. We will see you guys next week for another Wild Wednesday. See you later, guys.